evening. My name is Jack Dearborn. I'm chairman of the Weare Zoning Ordinance. We're going to move on to the second case for this evening, which is case number 0114. That is Alain Provost, 153 Thorndike Road, residential zone administrative appeal to building officials' interpretation of Article 3.2 to allow shooting at 161 Thorndike Road by Michael and Robin Stevens, tax map 404-114 in a residential zone. Okay, before we start, I need to have the board introduce themselves. June
Carrington, member.
Stu Richmond, member.
Forrest S&Y, Vice Chair.
And I will ask Mark Moretti to seat, if you would, for as an alternate. That will make up the 5 folks who are going to sit on the case this evening. Okay.
Mark Moretti, alternate.
Thank you. Okay. The application, the abutter notice was made. There is a letter from Mr. Sakellarios to Charles Meany. There's an application that's been filled out for administrative appeal, and it is on applicant Alain Provost and Patricia Provost on 153 Thorndike Road, Weare, New Hampshire, map 404, lot 113. Property address, single-family home with 200-foot frontage, sidelines 1122.08 and 1167.01. Rear line is 106, and proposed use or use affected. Owners use a garage as a home-based business in violation of Article 4.1. I just want to make a point for this evening's purpose that we're only hearing the application for Article 3.2. And the use of a firing range on the property violates Article 3.2. Also see attached appeal from administrative decision. And why does your proposed use require an appeal to the Zoning Board of Adjustment? This is an appeal on administrative decision. Please see attached for details. There is a one page, no, it's 2 pages actually. Signed by the 2 applicants, and there's also another letter to Charles Meany Code Enforcement from Sakellarois Associates LLC. Butters list looks like a map of the property. Also a drawing, a plot plan of tax lot 404/114. There's also a letter here from Naomi L. Bolton, town administrator, and it deals with, I believe this is the opinion of the town of Weare. Okay. Before we start, I'd like to ask that we have a motion to accept the application this evening.
Move to accept.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion from the board as to the completeness of the application and the appropriateness. The only thing I would just want to point out is the only thing we're hearing this evening is on Article 3.2.
Yeah, can I address that, or?
No, we'll be right with you, okay? With that said,
I would comment that the paperwork, I guess this is just for information purposes, but the application that's shown here is the original one from back from last year. I guess it's just for information purposes.
well,
There's nothing to do with the hearing tonight.
this is case 014114. This is this evening's discussion. The point I was making is that we're only hearing, the only application before us is tonight that has a public notice is Article 3.2.
Right.
Okay. So this is the one that we're going to hear this evening. Okay, with that, all those in favor of accepting the application?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Being none, abstentions, 5-0-0. Thank you. This time, Council?
Thank you. Can I just ask though, I'm not sure
Sure.
why you're saying only one ordinance violation is being addressed?
Well, from a extremely technical perspective, it's the only one that was noticed. Okay. I guess the question is, why not 4.1? And you have something to comment on that?
4.1 is being heard at Superior Court. Actually, we're in for mediation on Thursday. 4.1 has already been decided by the board, and that decision is under appeal to the Supreme Court or the Superior Court.
So it's
So
the more,
the only thing, as per the letter that I sent you, that technically you can apply for is Article 3.2. The 4.1 is irrelevant to this case.
well, that's fine with me, but there were nuances of 4.1 that when we were here the last time, the board even made reference about whether it's entirely within a dwelling. And so, and there was a comment made during the hearing that, well, that wasn't exactly said in the application, so I reiterated it in this one. But if it's your position that all of those things were presented to the board and are up for appeal, and they're all preserved for appeal, that's fine with me.
Well, that's something you need to take up with
Well,
administrator.
I don't know, I filed an application for an appeal. I specifically mentioned these articles in my complaint to the town, and now I've specifically mentioned them again in my application for appeal. I don't know how else I can be more specific than stating them. I don't know why the town can just say, well, we're not gonna hear one of them and we're gonna hear the other one. I don't know where that right comes from.
That's not exactly the truth. We have already heard 4.1, and you've come back on appeal to 4.1 and have been denied, which is why you are in court and why we are in court. So
Right.
your questions regarding 4.1 have no effect on this request for 3.2. You're talking apples and oranges. They're two different things. The 4.1 case, we're going to court on. We have court dates set, I believe, for June or July, as well as the mediation that we're having this week. So you're here on 3.2.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear on the record that you're saying that those issues are already properly preserved for an appeal, and that I'm not allowed to raise them because they've been raised. If that's the case, I'm fine with it, but
All I want to
you
make a
can't have it
point
both ways.
I'm not agreeing with you, I'm just going to make a statement that because the only case that was noticed for the public to see and posted is 3.2.
Well, but that's
And you were
that's
also,
not fair.
you
The
were
town
also
can't-
informed at the time of your appeal that we would only hear
That's at the top
3.2.
right there. See the second one? 0114.
Oh, and what is this? Where is
That's
this
the case
posted?
this evening. That's posted right outside the door, and it's also posted in a couple papers as well. So legally, the only action we can take this evening is in 3.2 because of the posting notice.
Well, that's sort of a conflict when I appeal a code enforcer's decision, and then the code enforcer then limits the scope of my appeal unilaterally. I mean, I'm appealing to the board, yet the code enforcer is the one who decides what the scope of my hearing is?
So are you trying to tell us that your position, that we have a duty to hear a case that we've already heard and made a decision on, which is now in Superior Court, and before the Superior Court even hears the case, you want us to hear it again and maybe make a different decision?
Well, actually, sir, you're the one who astutely brought up the fact at our last hearing that you didn't know if this constituted a dwelling, a little nuance of the zoning ordinance, because it was in a separate detached garage.
Counsel, I'm going to
So,
cut you off.
can I just respond?
No,
I mean, we're
no.
creating a record. Why
That's
can't I
okay.
respond to the
You can
question?
show that I interrupted you, and I'm going to give you a choice. Would you like to proceed with 3.2, or would you like to not have your 3.2 heard this evening?
What kind of choice is that?
You either proceed with what has been properly noticed or not. I'm prepared to go ahead with 3.2. Are you?
I am prepared to do as much as I can. However, I'm just attempting to preserve a record and just be clear on the record. So
I'm
if I
going to have
can just
it
answer
written
this
in our
gentleman's
record
question.
that you take exception to the fact you won't have 4.1 done this evening.
Right, although I correctly applied for that and by all rights should be addressed at this hearing.
Okay, would you like to proceed on 3.2 or not?
Sure.
Okay. Let the record show that the applicant is willing to proceed on Article 3.2, performance standard.
Well, this is easy. Mr. Stevens is firing weapons on his property, firearms of all different gauge and caliber, and it's creating a nuisance. It's loud and offensive, and in all ways violates Article 3.2 by vibration and noise and such. And I complained to the town, and the administrative decision that was issued refused to address it. Just said that I should pursue civil remedies. However, I'm aware of Mr. Provost and the abutters and whoever else is agreed's right to pursue civil remedies in court. However, there's an article in the zoning ordinance that deals with this. And you can't tell a citizen that he has no recourse under the articles, the zoning articles, simply because there's some other remedy. It's not a citizen, they don't have to hire lawyers and file lawsuits when the town has drafted ordinances to prescribe conduct. So, this is a valid complaint. There was an administrative decision which just, for no reason at all, decided that they would not investigate the matter. So, we're appealing to you folks. I would ask that you direct the town to investigate the matter and address it. As of right now, they're just deciding not to address it for what appears to be political reasons. But I mean, that's speculation why they're not addressing it. But that's the function of the code enforcer, whether it's Mr. Meany or Ms. Bolton, who's acting in his stead. It needs to be addressed. And, I have some witnesses that would like to address the board. But the fact is, they would be testifying to the nuisance, you know, the effect of the noise on them when there is no, when it's strange, because there's a, you know, the code, the town is refusing to act on it. So it's my opinion that the board should direct the town to investigate and make a decision. So I guess I'll put on my witnesses because this is my opportunity now, but.
Well, you have another opportunity to speak, and anybody who wishes to be in approving about it, disapproving about it, public at large, other boards can speak when I finally go around through the process. If you are finished at this time, Counselor, I'll have the town come up and speak.
Okay.
Thank you. Gunnie?
Good evening. For the record, I'm Naomi Bolton, Town Administrator for the Town of Weare. I'll stay as long as my voice will hang in there. The issue in this case is whether the facts of the record that support my letter of November 21st. I just want to give the board some history. I'm sure you all have it, but where we're creating record, I'm going to do that. The letter came as a result of numerous letters beginning March 8th of 2013, another letter of April 10th, April 25th, and they were concerning a complaint regarding 3.2 and 3.1. I'm sorry, 3.2 and 4.1, excuse me. 4.1, as we heard earlier, is not going to be discussed tonight because it's got something waiting in the wings in Superior Court North. On the 29th of April, as a result of the 3 letters, I informed the applicant's representative that the letter that I received on March 8th was after your hearing on March 5th, therefore could not be introduced as part of the original complaint, and in order for the zoning board to rule on the request, an application needed to be filed. May 2nd, I got a return letter indicating that the intent of the March 8th letter was not to be included as part of the application, but instead it was a request to investigate a complaint and issue a decision. The request was made in me on behalf of the town of Weare in place of Chip due to his stated conflict of interest. You all know that. An administrative appeal to 3.2 and 4.1 was received somewhere around May 30th of 13, and on June 11th, Mr. Meany returned the application with the fee indicating that Section 3.2 allegations involve an investigation that's ongoing, so the appeal was premature, and that 4.1 was being handled at the Superior Court level. A copy. This is a copy, it's not highlighted. This is a copy of the tax map that was given to the police department so that they could notify the abutters as to, you know, what their concern was with regard to the noise created by the shooting. I have a copy here for the board, and I can share it also with council, of the phone calls that were made. As from the list of the owners, the police department created a list of owners. Some of them were called twice, some of them answered the phone the first time, some of them don't have a landline and we can't get cell phone numbers, so, and some of them are private and not listed. So the police department, from the list of owners, established this call list, and four of the, I don't want to say butters, but 4 of them in the area that she, the secretary of the police department, spoke with. Out of the 4, 1 of them had an issue. The other 3, 1 didn't know it was there. 2 of them heard shots, but it didn't cause a nuisance to them, and the other one wasn't bothered by it either. So out of the 11, 4 that were reached and 1 had a problem. I'll just share that with you.
I think we have.
We have a copy of that.
Got it.
Then on October 16th, the letter was received.
Does he have a copy of the map as well?
We can make them when this is mine,
I
but,
appreciate that.
Give him that.
okay. It's kind of, this is pink on the real.
Thank you.
On October 16th, a letter was received indicating that, that it'd been months since he'd had a decision. He was looking for a decision, which now brings us to the November 21st letter, which you have in your hand. In that letter, I made a determination, and I'm going to refer you to the very last page of it, to the paragraph, the very last, page 2, last paragraph, and I'd like you to look at where it says that the amount of the shooting, it says the amount such as this, but, I'm sorry, this such use as, that has been conducted since the business element has been curtailed, has not been of sufficient amount or duration to constitute the level of public nuisance that would justify a municipal action, a municipal enforcement action to enjoin. So, if you're looking at 3.2 in your zoning ordinance, 3.2, you guys all have the zoning ordinance, I just took a section from it. I'm saying the board. The section that prohibits noise, and I'll quote, it says that the activities have to be obnoxious, offensive, or injurious to, and I'm going to emphasize the next word, which is public health and safety, or the comfort, peace, and quiet enjoyment of, I'm going to emphasize again, community or a neighborhood. So as such, the standard for the code enforcement officer investigating such a complaint must find that the noise, odor, or such purportedly offensive act is such that it affects, again, the public and/or the entire community or neighborhood. Thus, the complaint is limited in its impact to just a single party or very narrow group, or upon investigation it appears to be limited to that manner. It would not necessarily constitute a violation of the standard as I read it in the zoning ordinance. That's not to say, as he alluded to earlier, that the activity may not be sufficient to support a private damage claim against the alleged violator for the persons claiming to be impacted. However, in order to justify a governmental enforcement action, the activity needs to be of a broader scope. So in closing, the shooting, while certainly observed or heard by most of the surrounding property, was not sufficiently offensive to the number of people necessary to have, in my capacity as acting CEO, to justify the commencement of an action to enforce the zoning ordinance. And again, I'll point out that if the town elects not to bring an enforcement action on the basis of facts, doesn't prevent the aggrieved property owner from bringing a civil actions for nuisance. Can I take a step back and just say something personally?
Sure.
I'm a resident, been here for a long time. More and more people bring more and more noise. The more people we allow in town, the more noise there is. There's noises that are vehicles, lawnmowers, weed whackers, chippers, snow blowers, loud motorcycles, chainsaws, traffic, Jake brakes, you name it. I live in an area that Sunday all they did was shoot. But we don't. I mean, it's just, I just think that some people move here to enjoy the type of activities because we have the space. And as long as it's done in a safe, ethical environment, I don't see anything wrong with shooting. That's personal. I want that stated to be personal. That's where I
Any questions?
will leave.
Naomi?
So,
You sit down, thank you. Okay. Do you need a few minutes to review that document? Okay, with that said, we will go through approving abutters, disapproving abutters. And what I mean by approving is approving to shut down shooting in the area of Stevenson's. Okay, and if you are not approving, you're not in favor of shutting down the shooting. So when I call right now, I'll call for approving abutters for this action. I would like to speak.
And just my rebuttal to what was just said, does that come at the very end or
It
something?
will. Everybody's got two shot at the apple. Anybody who wish to speak as an abutter? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, whoever wished to speak, come forward and state your name, please, and where you live.
Approving?
Approving abutters. You approve of the action being taken here this evening for the appeal.
In other words, you're in support of our appeal.
Yes. Name, sir?
For the record, it's Alain Provost. I reside at 153 Thorndike Road.
And can we, Naomi, you got a map we can look at, just so we can identify? I just need the map.
It's not gonna fly there.
Okay, Alan, you're 115, right?
113, I think.
113?
Yeah, 113.
113. This is the only map you got? Why don't you go make a copy of it before I start writing on it? I don't want to destroy the record. Tax map 113 and street address 153.
That's all written in there.
Pardon?
That's all written in there.
Yeah, I read it off. I believe I'm looking at the right place. Go ahead.
First of all, thank you for your time. I'll try to make this statement as brief as I can while being direct and to the point. We are here to address the issue before you on the matter of Article 3.2 of the Weare Zoning Ordinance. First,
I want to be very clear, crystal clear, that this is not a Second Amendment issue, as it has been stated from certain individuals. I am a lifetime endowment member of the NRA, and I support and advocate all the safety requirements of owning and shooting a firearm. The NRA is very clear about respecting the shooting area and any surroundings where and when you shoot. Safety is first and foremost. Mr. and Mrs. Stevens and their customers have been shooting at various times of day, on some occasions at great length. This is no secret. I have times, dates, and amounts of rounds shot on all these infractions. Here are my copies. Thank you, sir. One more. This copy that I have here, here are the copies that I just gave you are from my logbook. These copies that I'm giving you are from my abutter, Joe and Nancy Stena, where they kept a record of all the shooting activity that went on. They are not able to be here tonight because they're on vacation out of state. And he was kind enough to give me this to present to you as well. I also have some updated photographs as to what I have to look from my property line every day and the current site of this shooting range. I would like you to pay close attention to the backstop of where these targets are located, because there is none. This is a very dangerous situation and a tragedy waiting to happen. Here are those copies. I only made one copy that you can all share. I also have a notarized copy of a letter from Abigail Chesley. She's my daughter-in-law. She's been at my house many times, giving you an in-depth look into how the actions of the Stevens and their shooting business has affected her, her children, my grandchildren, in a significant and emotional way. Here are those copies. I appeal to your sensibilities as a father and a grandfather that this shooting should cease and desist as clearly written in Article 3.2, which reads, as Naomi stated before, any use of land shall not be obnoxious, offensive, or injurious to the public health and safety or the comfort, peace, and quiet enjoyment of the community or neighborhood, or cause disturbance or annoyance because of vibration, noise, smoke, fumes, glare, odor, dust, gas fumes, chemicals, radiation, or other waste materials, or by reason of danger of fire or explosion, or result in a reduction of property values in the neighborhood.
Can I interrupt you for a second? I see a lot of pictures. In the back, it's mostly of people visiting, a fence, a post, some cars in the yard, vehicle and car in the yard, I don't know what the significance of this is.
The significance of those photos are directly related to Naomi's original cease and desist order that she clearly stated that the business portion of this firing range was to cease and desist. No one was able to shoot on that range except for
Okay.
the owners of that property.
Maybe I missed it, but I understood it could not used for commercial purposes. Anybody you invite to your house is different than what you would establish as a business, and people are shooting. That's why I'm asking the question, what's the relevance of these pictures? And then I get into, I grasp what you're trying to do here, is to show us that it's clearly marked that it's a firing range. Is there something in this pictures you'd like us to recognize? Because it looks like it's extremely well marked.
Extremely well marked. And if I were to sell my property, which I would love to do, I would like anyone on this board to tell me how anyone would want to buy my property seeing those signs clearly visible.
You mean the firing ranges?
Yes. If it was no trespassing, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Well, okay, I just
That's a
wanna-
whole nother.
I want to make sure I understood you. Okay,
Okay.
give you the, make sure I understand. June, you have something to say? Okay. Okay. Now, let me make sure I get it correct. Sometime in the spring, the Stevens business was moved to some other place, down to South Weare.
I believe it was August 1st that he
Okay,
moved.
okay, I just wanted to get a date, okay, I didn't dig it out of the paper. I'll accept your answer. And also, all shooting associated with that commercial enterprise is supposed to cease and desist, which is what Naomi made the point about. Okay. Are you suggesting that either of those things are happening there now? If so, what proof do you have?
Well, the pictures of the photographs of the vehicles in the driveway. Customers, which unfortunately I don't carry a camera on me at all times, but I certainly have a pen and paper to write on. And I see people shooting in the backyard. Not just one.
Well, okay, I just want to make sure I understood your point.
Okay.
Okay. And I see from the stenoses,
And by the way, some of these pictures that kind of make you wonder, what is this particular picture doing in
well,
here?
that's what I was,
The photo of the post. Well, that's where my flagpole used to be. And for some reason it got torn off.
oh, okay.
But that's not part of this case.
Exactly. Those are civil issues.
Just to give you an idea of what I'm dealing with.
Okay, okay, but I just want to make sure before we go through this whole session this evening, I'm not going to tolerate personal attacks on people in this meeting.
Understood.
I just want to be very clear, looking for facts, and so we can understand what's going on here.
Understood.
Okay, thank you. So what you're saying is we should ignore everything from August 1st in these write-ups? Because they might have been construed with the commercial? activity?
Could you clarify that?
Sure. I asked you when Stevens's business left, and you offered up August 1st
Okay.
of 2013. So these go back to 1977. This analysis goes back to, looks like he went back to 2012, September 18th. So, I just want to be very clear for this evening. We're taking, I mean, is it appropriate for us to take this as being private shooting in his own backyard? Which, by the way, everybody else on the street has a right to do so. Maybe not the same level, but I just want to be very clear, because up to that point, it could have been for his company and his personal shooting, or some mixture of both.
So, just so I understand you correctly, you're asking me if the shooting that has occurred since August 1st of 2013 is related to his business in any way?
Well, that's kind of a broad sweeping. I like to have you constrain it in the opposite terms. I'm just trying to get you to qualify for the benefit of the board that all this indexing that you have here for all the shooting is related to his private shooting from August 1st.
No, it's not related to his private shooting.
Oh, so you're suggesting that he's still operating a business there beyond August 1st?
Yes.
And what proof do you have of that?
Well,
Picture the cars, you know, I mean, you're making an allegation. I think it ought to be substantiated. And if you don't have it, okay. I just want to make sure from the board's perspective, because frankly, my understanding is correct, that the only shooting there is from a private citizen and/or his friends. I don't know how to explain it any other way, because his business is no longer there. His business.
I think that's where we agree to disagree.
Okay, I don't know any different. I'm just trying to put a point on it.
All I can tell you is that you're more than welcome to stay at my home as long as you'd like. I have a bed for you, and you tell me what's going on. That's all I can tell you.
Got it. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with the board?
Yes, I do. As well as the pictures that I did provide to you, I would like to further outline that approximately 700 feet beyond this shooting range is a town road, new road. It's clearly defined on the map that we all have. In which people, horses, snowmobiles, ATVs, etc., use this road all year long. I hear them traveling in the back of that road. I've also walked to that road to see what was going on, just to make sure. I have included some pictures which cannot be overlooked. The west side of New Road is conservation land owned by the town of Weare. These are the pictures. It is clearly marked, leave only footprints and take only photos. It doesn't say it's okay for stray bullets allowed while people are using this road. The fact that this range has no backstop, please refer back to the picture that I gave you, has no backstop whatsoever, poses a clear and present danger to someone's life while on that road or in their own backyard. I have not been able to entertain my children and grandchildren for the better part of 18 months for fear of the police coming to my home because of the ridiculous, unfounded accusations by Mr. Stevens My grandchildren and their friends have not been able to play in the woods in my own backyard for fear of being shot on my own land from stray bullets.
But just so I'm correct on this. You're across the street.
No,
Wrong.
You're not across the street.
I am his abutter.
I'm sorry.
Directly across the street would be Mr. Gill.
Thank you. Okay.
This range could never meet the compulsory specification for small arms shooting ranges. I have a copy, if you'd like it.
Yeah, but the big question of that is, have you brought this to the attention of the police from a standpoint of inadequacy of the backstop? Because that's not really.
Yes.
Okay,
And short answer, yes,
and you're not satisfied with our answer?
absolutely not.
Okay.
This range could never meet the compulsory specification for small arms shooting ranges.
You want to give us those? You offered up, I'll take them.
More than happy to have.
Let me ask
How
you,
long ago did you speak to the police?
Mr. Provost, you say there's no backstop at all.
Would you like me to show you?
Well,
In the photo?
I saw the pictures here, but I mean, I really don't know what I'm looking at.
If you allow me. This is the current position of that shooting range. It's supposedly 300 feet from any dwelling. There's no backstop.
Is this the target area?
Yeah, it's a piece of plywood, half-inch plywood, 3/4 inch.
Well,
I don't want to get distracted on the backstop quality,
no, but
okay? That's an issue to resolve by somebody other than the zoning board, because we haven't put specifications out for back buildings.
well, but the noose 3.2 talks about danger. That's part of the nuisance ordinance. Talks
That
about
picture
danger and
is not
safety.
adequate to represent the backstop. Okay, it's shot through the woods.
But well, you're calling it getting distracted. It's a central issue. He's telling you about it, so that's evidence, whether you're gonna conclude.
We
the
accepted
pic-
his requirement that he brought forward. So if you've got an issue with that, and people are taking advantage of you on your property, that's different. Why haven't you been able to go to the police?
I have.
Okay, you're not satisfied with their outcome then?
I think that's why we're here.
This is a zoning
No,
ordinance.
I don't think so. We're here for the performance standard.
The police department says it's a town issue. The town issue says it's a police issue.
First I heard.
Apparently, that's why we're going to Superior Court, aren't we?
When's the last time you were at the police station?
When Mr. Began was the chief.
Okay. Circumstances have changed.
Yes, yes. And from what I hear, I think the new chief is promising. But I have not spoken to him yet,
Okay.
nor has my attorney yet. Let me wrap this up. I do have one other, unfortunately, she couldn't be here either. She was alone with her kids. She did draft a letter. She sent it to me via email. I want to introduce it as evidence into this board, but I don't have a hard copy of it. All I have is an email, which I could send to someone and he could print it out.
well, we won't have it here.
Shove it to Chip. Put it out.
See Meany at Weare.nh.gov. I must, however, tell you that I have a computer that's slower than molasses at the end of January at the bottom of the Mariana Trench on a rainy day. So if you're hoping to get it tonight,
What do you got, only 512 megabytes of RAM?
I probably have 20 megabytes of RAM.
Let me forward this to you with the attachment.
Can he read it into the record, since it's gonna take a long time?
Hopefully, we're gonna get it
I could.
before you go through your session here, and we can introduce it.
What is your email? CMEAN1?
Is it one paragraph, or is it,
It's a few paragraphs,
well,
maybe one page.
we're gonna grab a hard copy from you. If you wish to speak to it now, per your counsel, that's fine.
I'll go kick the mice.
Read it off.
Hang on one second. And what's the domain?
At where? .nh?
W-A-R-E.
.gov.
N-H?
nh.gov. Weare.
You want me to read this?
You can read it off if you wish.
This is from Laura Kobelis. She resides at 1
How do you spell that, by the way?
Kobylis.
And where's her address?
156 Thorndike Road.
And she's across the road?
Yes.
Okay.
Her letter states, "To whom this may concern. First and foremost, I would like to apologize for not being able to appear at this meeting tonight in person and hope that you will accept this letter in my place. The purpose of this letter is to let you know, as a neighbor of Mr. Stevens, how my family and I have been affected. My major concern is my children and any children in the area for that matter. I have 2 boys, one 4 and one 7, and they are friends with the provost's grandson. As many boys do, they love to explore. Unfortunately for our children, we do not feel it is safe for them to do so in the woods near the provost's home, due to stray bullets found beyond Mr. Stevens' fence. Not only does this pose a danger to our children, but to anyone who may be walking the woods behind the Provost and Stevens residence. This is a residential neighborhood, and the shooting range does not belong there. The noise is excessive and is quite annoying. I live in Weare to enjoy the quiet surroundings and to bring my children up in a good environment. If I wanted to listen to gunshots all the time, I would have chosen to live in a city. Not only has the noise caused problems for me as they get older, but has done so over the past couple of years as well. Put yourselves in my shoes for a moment. Try to get a 2.5-year-old and an infant down for a nap with your windows open. I know what you're all thinking. Just close the window, right? Well, my point is that I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to close my family up inside our home to escape these loud and for a child frightening noises. Not only do my family and I, who live in a home across the street from Mr. Stevens, suffer, my guests suffer as well. For example, when my brother-in-law, a sergeant in the United States Army, came to stay with us during one of his leaves, He was serving his second tour in Afghanistan when he was able to leave the combat zone and come home to rest and relax for a little while. Well, there wasn't much of that due to the gunshots going off almost every day he was home. A serviceman or woman should be able to come home and relax and not have to worry about where the gunshots are coming from. She did, previous to this attachment, she did say that that's all she had time to write. She was trying to write it while at work, so I'm sure it's somewhat incomplete, but for the most part it is complete.
Mr. Provost, do you have anything else?
Just a few other things. I guess the only thing left I have to say is, ask yourself these questions. Would you want this next to your house? Would you allow your children, your grandchildren, to fear for their lives on your own property while shooting is going on 100 feet from where they play? Would you put up with the noise from loud shooting where you can't even hear yourself speak or enjoy the quietness of your own property? Would you allow the value of your home to decrease because of such things? I would be willing to bet that the answer is a clear and emphatic no. I ask you to issue a cease and desist order immediately. Thank you.
Any other approving abutters wish to speak?
I'm actually the one who wrote the email, who was able to get yours just now. So if you don't mind hearing from me, I'd like to step up.
Come up so we can hear you and might be able to answer your question.
My name is Weare Zoning. I live at 156 Thorndike Road. It's across the street from Mr. Stevens and Mr. Provost.
You're the one that wrote that letter?
The email that he just read.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to make it. I have mom duties to take care of first, so.
Could you be brief, because we already read your input?
Sure, I just wanted to ensure you that that was me that was writing the email and to let you know that those are my feelings on this issue. I've been watching the meeting go on at home as I was trying to, get my kids settled for the night, and I did try to make it down here to just let you know that those are the feelings that I have, and that, like Mr. Provost said, put yourselves in our shoes. We can't even have a cookout with our families without shooting going off in the background. It's annoying, it's disturbing, my kids don't like it, it's frightening to them, especially as they were younger. This has been going on for years. This isn't just over recent months. It's frightening as a young child to hear that. So, I mean, I'm fed up with it. I agree. I want it cease and desist immediately. There's no need for it in a residential area whatsoever. It is supposed to be a community that you can bring your kids up in. I would have moved to Manchester had I wanted to hear gunshots every day. I work there, so I hear them. So, I mean, to be able to live out here, I have a 40-minute commute. I choose to have that commute to have my peace and quiet. So when it's being obstructed by gunshots, it's a little bit frustrating.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other approving abutter like to speak? Okay, we're now going to go on to disapproving abutters, meaning people who disapprove of the administrative appeal. Come on, state your name, please, and where you abut.
My name is George Lectus. I own the house on 34 New Road. Also abuts the...
Well, you're technically not a abutter, are you?
I don't
Maybe
know
you
how-
are. Hang on, let's
34 New Road.
show me where you are here on this map.
So, this is New Road here, isn't it?
Wendy.
This is me, right here.
Okay.
So on Thorndike and...
Okay, just so we're clear, you can speak at public at large, but you're not an abutter.
Yes.
So could we have you sit down for a little bit?
Oh, okay.
And I'll have you pop back up. I want to keep this thing so the record's correct. Are there any abutters who are disapproving to this action? Okay. I only have one note. Dig it out. It's by Richard By. He's at 169 Thorndike Road. And he is on the other side of Stevenson's. And this is dated January 17th, 2014. To it may concern, I live at 169 Thorndike, directly next door to Mike and Robin Stevens. I have lived at that address since 1997 and have known the Stevenses almost the entire time. Mike and Robin have proved to be good neighbors, and I have no problem or issues with them using private gun range that they have constructed on their property for occasional target practice. This is signed by Richard By, that's B-Y. Okay? Now, public at large. What?
Disapproving or approving?
Doesn't matter, public at large, we'll have to sort it out.
I don't agree with the cease and desist on it.
Okay, you are,
34 New Road.
you're at,
Would you speak up?
yeah, you need to speak up because that only works
Oh,
for the TV. It doesn't work for the crowd here, so you'll have to speak up. You're
34 New Road. So it comes up here on Thorndike and then all the way back here.
so this is your two triangles?
Yep,
And that is what number?
34.
34?
34 New Road.
Okay.
I can't hear any noise from where I am. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, you can hear a car door slamming, you know, at nights. I mean, if it was that noisy, I think I'd probably hear it. So,
You consider yourself in the neighborhood?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other people wish to speak? Mr. Woods?
Excuse me. Scott Wood, 65 North Stark, in Weare. This is rambling because I just was taking notes. To hear Mr. Provost, you would think that bullets went out one direction, turned around, and came in sideways. He is in a butter to the left side of the property. Bullets are going to fly on the trajectory they were, with the exception of ricochets. The pictures don't even take into account terrain. There's a sloping downward, there's a downward angle that he's shooting. It's going to impact the ground behind it. It is a wetland behind it, so no one is immediately walking down in the wetland and walking through it. The road is a number of feet behind it. It's not a road as was clearly stated, just a road. It's a non-passable road. It's a class 6. You would need an ATV or something of the like to get through it. Some of these pictures, I might be in it. I do frequent the Stevenses as a friend of theirs. I could not tell you if I've definitively shot since August 1st in their yard as a friend, but I certainly would enjoy the opportunity to come shoot with Robin and Gunnie. Valuable training, being a Marine combat veteran, I definitely would enjoy that. And as far as annoyance, my daughter took up the violin this year, and I'm telling you, she annoyed the neighbors. It was definitely bad, and it was excessive and noisy. And that's where we're at. I grew up next to a gun club, and for us, you well know, my parents didn't lose any money selling their house. We built it knowing there was a gun club behind it. We built that house in 1985. It is a rural residential area. We didn't lose any money. They made money on their house. And I can't say any more to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? Public at large? Okay, good. Other boards? No other boards here? Okay, with that said, you can have a rebuttal.
I think it's, I guess, objectionable that that Ms. Bolton stated at the end of her presentation that she personally feels that there's nothing wrong with shooting on your property. It certainly seems like a little bit of a conflict of interests, but the statute, or the ordinance rather, talks about the safety issues. And you've heard evidence that there's bullets found in neighboring property. And I don't know how you can just ignore that. There are bullets, ammunition found on a neighbor's property. That is, by definition, a safety issue. It just is. The backstop information you've heard, the fact that there are wetlands and whatever class road, a road, whatever class it is meant for transporting human beings, and for there to be gunfire that could impact that road is something of a concern to you. Whether the police are involved is completely irrelevant. You have an ordinance that talks about safety to the citizens of this town. That's your charge, to review the ordinance and to be concerned about the safety. You can't just pass that on to the police. It's your obligation. The complaint has been made under the article. I guess this investigation that was not disclosed by Ms. Bolton until tonight, the calls that she made, or that the secretary of the police department made, which is conclusive to you folks that the police did get involved. That apparently this was partially their investigation in conjunction with the town. The list of people that were called doesn't even include 3 of the, 4 abutters? So there was no call to Joe and Nancy Steno. They're on the abutter list. They're not, oh, I'm sorry, there was a call to them. Bruce Farr, do I see him on this list?
He's in Northwood.
What's that?
Lives in Northwood.
Is he not an abutter?
He,
Oh.
in Northwood, New Hampshire, landowner.
He was the previous owner to my property,
Okay.
Oh, okay. And Damian Gill,
my husband,
your husband?
so I live at the same residence as he.
Did you get a call?
No, we did not.
What's your name again?
Weare Zoning.
Because she's not, she wasn't called?
I didn't have calls.
According to the list, right? I don't see that on there.
Right.
They have a cell phone,
What's that?
Do you have a home phone?
they have a
Where?
cell phone.
So, it's tough to.
A letter could have been sent.
Yeah, I mean, a letter or just a knock on the door. I mean, I think that I don't know what this shows. I mean, if this is supposed to show that firing high caliber weapons on the property is not a disturbance or a safety, I would suggest to you that this doesn't show anything. This is not, doesn't address the issue at all. And I think that you have to consider these things.
Counselor, this is your last opportunity. You won't have a chance to rebut after this.
What's that?
I just want to point out to you, this is your last opportunity that you'll be able to speak.
Right.
Okay, are you satisfied?
Okay.
I just wanted to give you the opportunity in case you thought you were coming back again.
I guess I think I was clear about this, but I want to object that I'm being precluded from talking about, was it 4.1? I believe that I've properly framed that issue in my letter to the town and in my appeal documents to the board, and I think it's a strange conflict that somehow that was left off the notice when I clearly put that there, and I would suggest to you that this meeting should adjourn with new notice to go out, and so that issue can be addressed, because I don't think it's proper that, for no fault of the appellant, is it just not being heard? It was clearly listed in my appeal documents, and it should be heard.
Thank you. Proving about it. This section, Mr. Provost, do you care to speak? You can. Your option.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to rebut something that might have been said by somebody.
I take a little bit of offense to Mr. Wood's claim that bullets seem to only go in a straight direction. Anybody that's been around firearms knows that it only takes one bullet to ricochet off of a rock, a tree, whatever, to find its way into a human being, an animal, whatever it may be. So I take a little bit of offense to that. As far as the Weare Police Department calling us, I have a list about this long on my phone that the Weare Police Department has called me, but never once did they call me about that list that Naomi presented. Not once. So
Okay.
I'm just making that for the record.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak again? Nami?
I personally stepped back from it. I grew up around firearms. My dad was a cop. I said what I said in the interest of letting everybody know that, because if somebody found out later that we go skeet shooting somewhere, that, God forbid. But I'm not faulting anything. I turned over to you what I asked the department to do. How they got their information and what got back to me, I presented to you. I'm not weighing it either way. I'm just saying that I also want to point to you that 3.2 discusses public health, discusses community and neighborhood. That's all. You know, and to the comment about being slighted because I added that personal note to it, I think is a little offensive. I mean, there's a lot of things that go on that I have to take a step back to. But if it ever were to come out later in life that, God forbid, I like to skeet shoot Thanksgiving Day with my family, my God, you know, that's what we do. So.
Thank you, Naomi. Anybody else like to speak? You want to come up front?
Wow.
I know most of the people in this room have lived here for decades, and I'm somewhat newer than that, having moved in about 4 years ago. Travis Corcoran, 275 Quaker Street,
Oh, so you're down.
intersecting with Thorndike. And I'm not an abutter, I'm a member of the public at large.
Okay.
And just want to say I've only lived in town for 4 days, so I'm newer than everyone else here. And about 20 years ago when I graduated college, I had 2 job offers, one in Massachusetts and one in New Hampshire, and I made the wrong decision, but I'm here now. And one of the reasons that after 6 months of searching New Hampshire for the right place, that I ended up on Weare is because the personal freedom and the lack of overweening government that we suffered under in Massachusetts for 20 years. And I wouldn't want to live next door to someone who is shooting 24 hours a day, but I do treasure the freedom to shoot on my land, and I wouldn't want to take that away from anyone else. So if we're talking about impact on the community, I certainly want to live in a community where reasonable shooting can be done on one's property. That's it.
Okay, very good.
board, I'm gonna close down the public session at this point. Being none. Okay, at this time, it's, I guess by the glare, it looks like 8:46. Close the public hearing down on case 0114. Okay. I think we need to get our motion correct, so we know how we're voting. Okay. We always tend to make the motion in the affirmative. So yes means yes, no means no. Now, since this is a administrative appeal, it's backwards, so to speak. I guess the question is, if you want to overturn, did Naomi leave?
Yes.
I guess so. If you want to overturn Naomi's decision and support the provost's position, you would vote yes. If you wish to do the opposite, support Naomi's position and not provost, you would vote no. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna write that down for myself. Okay, do I have a motion in the affirmative?
I don't know how to make it.
I move to support the administrative appeal. That's probably how you should word it.
Looking for the case number.
0114.
Can you think about how to say it?
Yeah, in the case of 0114,
Support the administrative
we'd like to
appeal
support
by
the
provost.
administrative appeal, Provost versus Stevens.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, now we're at the point of discussion. Any folks have any discussion points they want to bring up? This is only amongst the board now, it's not a public discussion at this point.
I'm wondering if, I don't want to interject anything more into the case, but since this is, it seems like a policing issue, I have the police department under new management now. Maybe make another attempt to talk to more of the abutters. Just a thought.
Well, I'm hearing different things, obviously. I know that supposedly the commercial aspect of the property is no longer there. And that the shooting that went on in relation to that is no longer there. Unfortunately, we haven't been given any factual evidence, one way or the other, in regards to that. We've heard from the people who don't want to hear the shooting, and we also have some statements from people, even here this evening, where it apparently has been reduced. So I'm coming at a mixture there. I don't think we should be basing a decision for a select group. If they have a real issue with that, and if it's real, I'd like to see some evidence of that. As far as the shooting is concerned in the area, you have town land on both sides here, on one side of Thorndike Road and the other side of New Road. And that's all open to hunting. And boy, when you're hunting, you say, well,
Where's that round going?
yeah, you on the backside, I mean, you should be very conscious of that.
That's all swampy land
Yeah.
down there, too, so it's not like people are walking through there all the time.
So based on the argument that we heard this evening, does that mean that we should then also try to get hunting stopped in those areas because it might upset some people in the area? I think that's kind of maybe overbroad, but I can see the relevancy there.
You have to remember, though, that the hunting season is a restricted period of time. It doesn't go on all year.
No, it's true, but you can't, at the same time, based on the arguments given this evening about a ricochet and things of that nature, that ricochet could happen during that month of hunting.
Well, you have to look at the performance standards of the ordinance 3.2. What is the overall safety for everybody in the area? Is this a safety issue that we're looking at? Probably. For some people, it definitely is. For others, it isn't. But we have complaints that their rights are being inhibited. Then we got to take a close look at that. Is this a police action, or is this an action for the board to take? Police action means civil action.
Mark, do you have any?
No, I agree with, all I have to say is, I'm not sure whether it's something we should be discussing or the police should be involved in.
Well, I think your point's well taken, and the fact of the matter is that state statute says that you can discharge a firearm within 300 feet of an occupied building.
Right.
So state law allows it to be done. Now, we also say that at the other hearing, when we were talking about the home-based business and all, the attorney was right. I was opposed to that because I didn't feel it fell within the criteria of our ordinances to have a home-based business in the home that way, in those conditions.
So that's been cleared off.
And the firing went along with that because it was part of that thing. However, if that's been taken out of the equation, and we're talking about the individual,
Yeah, it's a fine.
I don't see where we're on solid ground there.
Well, I listened really close to what Naomi was saying, where she stressed twice, at the beginning and at the end, rebuttal. This is an issue of public, community, or neighborhood. Now the question becomes, what's your definition of that? Could two people be a neighborhood that don't like the one person across the street, or the three people that don't like them, and the two people like them? This ordinance was designed from a standpoint of disturbance of a neighborhood. And we got a mixture of people who don't mind it, and other people who are vehemently opposed to it. And I guess the question is, do those people who oppose it constitute a community or a neighborhood? And that's how it's written.
Well, looking at the map here, you get the whole, this whole thing is the neighborhood.
Could be.
Yeah, we're not.
I think both people, in their perspective, have valid points. You folks ready to vote?
No.
Okay, let's try this one more time. The way I understand it is, if you support the appeal, it overturns Naomi. And if you do not support the appeal, it substantiates Naomi. So a yes will support the appeal, a no will support Naomi. Okay? So with that said, any further discussion? Being none from the board? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, I got
I
no,
abstain.
I got no yeses, and I got 4 noes, and 1 abstention. 0, 4,